Wrestling Mayhem Show
.com.
It's the best day of the week. Today is the day that you have chosen to listen to the Wrestling Mayhem Show. This is DJLunchbox, putting it the fuck down for you. Let's fucking do this. Monday night, you know it must be raw. Leaders being a whore and not wearing a bra. Seen his damn belt still spinning around his waist. I can ship at a rhymes on what comes out of his face. Tuesday night and it's EC Dub. Michael Q Knoxville join the club. If you sick of the shit, scream out boo boo. This ain't EC Dub and we can tell that too. Wednesday night, ROH on DVD, the best wrestling on the planet to the nth degree. Joe Damon's delirious, Daniel City, Kim McCarthy, Homicide, the Rottweilers, and Kenta Kobashi. Thursday night, TNA on Spike. Bruce's spoken.
Let's toss it right now to our interview. DJ Lunchbox, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling Mayhem Show. I'm here at DJ Lunchbox alongside Mad Mike, WrestleFan, and Sorg, and it is our very, very esteemed pleasure to welcome one half of the legendary Nasty Boys to the Wrestling Mayhem Show. Jerry Skaggs on the line with us. How you doing, sir?
All right, man. I got to explain. Our webmaster gets the requests for the radio interviews, and Hook tells us that you guys wanted to do interviews and stuff. I don't know what happened on Knobs' end. I know he has camps and stuff like that going, but I don't know if he contacted him or what. I didn't ask him when he contacted me, so I apologize for that. So you got one half of us,
all
at least, right?
We're just happy to have you.
Thanks, man.
Now, let's start with what have you guys been up to lately?
Lately, we just do a lot of the cons here and there, from tattoo conventions and wrestling cons to spot shows and that type of stuff. And I think this month we have one of those Hogan and Friends coming up that we got to go to. And, Nav stays pretty busy with his wrestling camp and that type of junk like that and that kind of stuff,
Very cool. Now, you guys recently did a stint in TNA, and I wanted to ask you how that was, and how did it compare to the your experiences in both WWE and WCW?
It was good. I wish it would have been more of what it was, but it was. We had fun there. I had a fun time, and it compared to as you mean. How do you want me to compare it as far as a company or?
Just the general atmosphere, your guys' experience, things like that.
Oh, it was good for me. It was just good seeing all the guys again and stuff, and being on TV and around the business and stuff like that. And you can't compare it to the days. A lot of the guys were with us at WCW, and there was guys that were with us, and we had monumental strides in the wrestling business in WWE too. It can't compare to that at all. No way in hell. But it's just fun doing it, for what it's worth.
Now TNA is the home of what a lot of people consider, some of the really great modern tag teams like the Motor City Machine Guns and the Young Bucks and people like that. What do you think of the state of tag team wrestling today?
In a whole, I think it's weak, because there just aren't that many tag teams. I'm glad to see those Motor City guys, that they wrestle as a team. I really wanted to, work with those guys, so I wanted to work with the Beer Money guys. I like their gimmick and stuff like that. I like their work. They sort of reminded me of Arn Anderson and them back in their day. I tried for probably a year. I wanted to set off this deal with the Dudleys because I thought it would draw not only ratings but money and draw house shows also with street fight type situations and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I pushed for that even before I was working on that and talking like the Cactus about it and sort of doing stuff with him and talking a little bit, you know, trying to push that angle to work because I thought there was money there, you know, for one last type crazy brawl for us. And there's a generation gap there. And it's never been seen. I thought it would be a really good draw and people would dig it, you know. And
I agree.
I was pushing a thing like to, you know, because back in the day we did some of the first of the street fights ever with Cactus and them guys, and I wanted to get him involved in a little bit, sort of in some type of way, and sort of reiterate all that stuff. You know, I thought it, you know, and we sort of kicked it off, and that was that, you know. You know, so that's as far as it went.
Right.
You know, what
that would have been
you know,
that would have been a great program.
Which is out of my hands. It has nothing to do with me. You know.
Yeah.
So
now
I think the people got gypped a little bit on that
wrestling,
one, you know. So, what did you guys think of it? You like that?
I think that would be great. I would love to see a program like that. I mean, you and the Dudleys are a very similar kind of feel to a tag team, that kind of brawling brothers. You know what I mean? I can't
hear you.
I think that would have been a great match to see.
Sorry, I think there might be something wrong with this connection. But you were saying, you know, you guys are kind of a similar, kind of the brawling, what do you say, kind of the brawling brothers, kind of tag teams. I know. Well, you guys were just starting to mix it up before you guys made your exit from TNA, right?
You mean us and the Dudleys?
Yeah. And I remember it was interesting because again, like you said, that kind of generational gap. You know, one of those you didn't think.
Well, but between us and them, there's a generation gap. You know, and they sort of followed in our footsteps, and I like them as a team, and always wanted to work with them, and I that's what I was trying to achieve there. You know. And we only got as far as we did, and like I said, that was out of our hands. We didn't come in on no deal or anything like that. We just came in to, you know, sort of what it was is what it was, and we took it as far as they wanted to go, I guess, other directions. So you can't, you know, force stuff. You know, like I said, it's out of my hands. It wasn't had nothing to do with me and Knobs. What we wanted, it's what other forces, I guess, from what I can tell, you know.
While we're on that topic, I mean, of course, you know, you guys left. There's speculation what may have happened. Never any word. Would you like to shed any light on what did happen on your exit of TNA, if you would like to, of course?
What's on our exit?
Yeah.
Well, there really was no, you know, exit. You know, of like a saying, you know, see you later or we're leaving or nothing like that. It started with you know, Hulkster asked us to make an appearance on the January 4th show. You know, we came off the Australia tour with them, and I said that'd be great. I'd love to be on that. And you know, we did a little thing there, and I sort of, you know, told them, me and Knobs told the idea of what we thought we could do business-wise with the Dudleys and stuff. So I think they just gave it a shot, and I mean, it truly did. It for what we did do, I think it helped ratings-wise and got a good reaction. You know what I mean? But it isn't up to us to say, you know, go ahead and run with that for 2 years or something like that, you know. So we just went we were just week to week. When they call us, we'd come to TV and do what they, you know, wanted us to do, and then we just didn't get called no more, you know. So that was as far as that goes. Now, if someone calls and says come back or we want you to do this, I mean, I'd have no problem with it, but that's all it was. There's nothing more to it than that, you know.
Actually, got a question from the chat room. We touched on this a little bit. What was your favorite? What was the most fun between the big groups you were in? Of course, WWE, WCW, TNA.
But I didn't hear that part.
What was the most fun? What was your favorite out of the three big groups you were a part of? WWE, WCW, and TNA.
You mean the most fun times we had?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I think my whole career was fun. You know, we started in, of course, the AWA, and it was, you know, me and Knobs and Kurt Hennig and Shawn Michaels and Mario Jannetty and Scott Hall, and from Buddy Rose to Jimmy Snuka and Adrian Adonis and on, you know, and that part of learning was fun and being part of that, and then going from there to Tennessee and seeing what that was all about, and from Tennessee to Florida and to Charlotte, and Charlotte down to the WCW for the first time, and then, you know, hitting WWF and being with all the whole ride was tremendous. You know what I mean? I can't pick one part. I mean, there are shining moments in there, and I know what I would call some of our breakthrough matches and stuff like that. But the whole ride was just incredible, and we had, you know, our reputation says that for itself. But we had fun wherever we were, a lot of it, maybe sometimes too much. You know, we're not called the nice boys. You know,
I think we'd be remiss in our duties if we didn't ask you for any road stories.
For what?
For any road stories.
For road stories.
You mean crazy stuff that happened when we were on the road?
Yeah.
Well, me and Nob usually would, you know, go to and eat health food and then go to the motel room, get a good night's sleep. And so I don't have too many of those type of stories for I was kidding, of course, but I don't even know where to start. That's what's cool about this, when we go do these Hulk Hogan and Friends things, because it's just like you guys are sitting there now like that, and we're sitting on that stage, a bunch of us guys, and then they ask, and sometimes now it's almost like sometimes some of the stories you get almost not like tired of telling them, because even though it's the first time those people heard you tell it, but it's like over and over and the same, you know, stuff again. But there's so many stories of, and with so many people that all the wrestling fans know, looking back, I cannot say anything negative about our careers, because we've touched so many different avenues, whether it's from old legends being around of pro wrestling to guys that made it to the top of the realm in the business, and in every sport, from actors, and that we've, you know, rubbed elbows with everybody and have stories with everybody. You know, it's just tough to start somewhere, you know. It's you know. But if you got something in mind, I'll expand on it. If you hear, you know.
Well, I remember reading in Shawn Michaels' autobiography that his and Mario Jannetty's first night in WWF, they had a pretty interesting night out with you guys. And I was just wondering if you could maybe get your side of the story from Shawn's book about it.
Well, their first night in WWF?
Yes.
Or ours?
Oh, your first night. Sorry, I flipped that when I was talking about.
Oh, because they were there before us.
Yeah.
I think we were either in Florida or Tennessee when them guys went the first time, if I remember right, for history. But I don't know. I don't know even what. I'd have to bring that back to my memory. But talking about that, I could tell you something funny we did when we were all in Tennessee that I think Shawn mentioned in his book too, and that's the invasion of Graceland. I don't know if you've heard that story. Have you heard that?
I haven't heard that one.
Don't think I remember that one.
No.
Oh God, that's what I think when we were in Tennessee, we had a small apartment. This is for Mid-South Wrestling with Jerry Lawler and Jeff Jarrett and the whole gang, you know, and Bill Dundee and on. But Wahoo McDaniel shipped us out of AWA, and we went down to the Mid-South. And, you know, that was a learning experience in itself with the Channel 5 TV every Saturday morning in Memphis. And we lived in Nashville. And here comes, I don't know, I think it was a time when Sean and Marty got fired. One of the times when they were younger, and they were the Rockers. And they were in maybe WWE, it was WWF like, for a while, and they might have got fired or something. I don't know. They left, and they came with us. They showed up in Tennessee, and they lived with us. So all of us lived together, and in and out of that apartment was, you know, Scott Hall and Kurt Hennig when they came to town, and they all lived in this place. But so here we are. I don't know where we were or where we were coming from, but we were pretty loaded. And well, it's me. Knobs is driving. Sean's in the front. Me and Marty in the back. And all of a sudden, you know, I look out the front window and I see musical notes, you know, and I'm like, what the hell? And I was like, we're at Graceland. Come on, everybody out. Let's go. And like, okay, I guess Knobs thought they were going to just say, you know, oh my God, that's Brian Knobs from Mid-South TV. You can come into Graceland at 2 a.m. And there's like, you know, they said, get the hell out of here before we call the police. So Knobs didn't give up on that. We got back in the car, and he's like, well, there's got to be another way in this place, you know. So sure enough, we drive around, you know, for 20 minutes or whatever, and we're in some subdivision, like boundaries on Elvis's horse ranch in the back. And sure enough, we park in this subdivision, and me, Sean, and Marty and Knobs go creeping up to this big 6-foot wall, stone wall, and we climb up and look over, and there's Graceland, you know. So we go over, we get over the wall, and scammer up, and took our own tour of Graceland, of course. And, you know, from the jumping around the Jeep from Blue Hawaii to Knobs sitting on one of Elvis's motorcycles to me, Knobs, and Sean sitting on, I think Marty had taken off at that time, but me, Knobs, and in between there was a security guard chasing us around. They couldn't find us if we were hiding. And me, Knobs, and Sean sat on Elvis's grave and toasted. We had beers in our hand there, and then all of a sudden we hear, there they are, get them, you know, and me and Sean take off. You know, there's a picket fence. We jump that thing, and we're running, we're climbing this wall, and we hear, I turn around, I go, oh my God, Sean, Knobs just tried to jump the fence, but fell through it and busted the picket fence in half, you know. He smashed the fence. Then they're gaining on him. So Knobs, I'm looking over the wall. Me and Sean are looking over the wall. Knobs runs and gets by this big oak tree and buries himself in a pile of leaves. And we're peeping over the fence. They're looking everywhere for him, but can't hide him. Can't find him because he's hiding under these leaves, buried. I couldn't believe it. I mean, sometimes they came pretty close to him, but he was hiding under there. So when he finally the security guys wandered away, we gave him a signal, and he scampered out of there. We yanked him over the wall, and that was our Rockers and Nasty's night at Graceland. So that's a pretty good story, but I don't remember. I think we came in Tampa, if I remember right. I don't remember what we did going out with Sean and Marty that night, if they took us out. Probably, but I'd have to have that one brought back to my memory, because I'd forgotten so much stuff too, you know.
Now, were any of you in particular huge fans of Elvis, or just the general awe of the place?
Sean was a huge fan of Elvis. Huge fan of Elvis. Knobs was a fan of Elvis's. I liked Elvis, but I mean, but I know Sean was like really, really liked Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and earlier on, when we got to AWA, we trained there and lived in Brad Reagan's basement, who ran Vern Gagne's training camp. Brad Reagan's did in northern Minneapolis. And the ring was next door to our little apartment in Brad's basement. And, you know, when we got there, like Scott Hall and Kurt Hennig and Sean and Marty, they were already established and had, you know, a few years in the business and, you know, were established working wise and on TV, you know, so we were sort of the new guys, but we immediately all connected, you know, and especially us with Sean and Marty, you know, being that they were a team and that's what we wanted to be and stuff like that. And there's a million stories there that, well, what those guys did to us and stuff like that, and going up and down the road with Kurt Hennig in those early days and you know, not only getting ribbed, but learning off those guys too, you know. And Sean ended up living with us down in Brad's basement for a good part of the time, you know. He lost his apartment or moved in with us for a while, and it was like a frat house down there, you know, of guys of any time you could wake up and, you know, Superfly Jimmy Snook is staying with us, you know, or Kurt, Buddy Rose, you know, Ray Stevens, Nick Bockwinkel would come by. Billy Robinson, you know, and Vern himself, Vern Gagne would come by and wait till Brad had us. We threw up a few times and be crawling on the mat, and he'd get in there and Vern would light you up, sort of give you a Stu Hart treatment, you know, that type of stuff. You know what I mean? That's what I mean by saying how, you know, I feel lucky to have, you know, graced some of the same ground as some of the great people like the Ray Stevens and guys like that we had a chance to be part of and be mentored by in the short time that we were around them. You know what I mean? It was awesome.
Now you mentioned a lot of old classic names there. I recall, and I'm thinking back to the days when I was a WWF kid and saw you guys, and you know, one of the last great times of tag team wrestling I remember. And you guys were so different at the time with the you know, the Nasty Boys and the look and the, you know, the shaved side of the head and everything. With a lot of those classic guys like that, did you get a lot of flack for the new style, or was it really seen as bringing something new, you know, to wrestling?
We really did get a lot of slack because we wouldn't. There's a type of a street fight that I don't like, and that's when they actually when they made these hardcore belts and would send a guy to the ring with this big dumpster filled with things. Yeah. But to do like we did with Cactus and Sullivan and Diamond and Tanaka and Tennessee and stuff like that, and at a time during the match, use a chair or a table or some type of other thing, a rail, whatever it is that you're gonna, you know, do in with your match, and to bring that extra edge to it was a really good thing. I mean, it worked. But when we did that first Chicago street fight, you know, we built it up to a head, and it was me and Knobs against Cactus and Max Payne. And that, you know, we walked down to the ring with pool cues or a pipe or something, I don't know, and we went from there with shovels and stuff like that. When we got back, it was, you know, Ric Flair being one of them. And he'll tell you this to this day, he had a conniption because back then, when we were, you know, I'm talking the early 90s now, and even the late 80s when we were in Tennessee, I mean, you didn't touch a chair. And, you know, it was like you just didn't do that. That was, if that happened, it was like for, you know, some type of pay-per-view or main event or something like that. You didn't touch a chair. You didn't, basically didn't even go out of the ring that much. You know what I mean? But so we got, with the way it went down when we finished that match, Rick was, what in the, this is what, at the Chicago, at the Rosemont. And Rick goes in the locker room, what in the hell was that? I can't believe that bullshit, and went on. And I'm like, well, I didn't know what to say. You know, I'm just, you know, we're out there trying to do the best we knew to do, but this is sort of on the cusp of, you know, a few years later, you see tables and chairs flying all over the place, ladders and everything else. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But at this time, you know, it was, you didn't see none of that. The way the story went, we went back to center stage. This was with WCW. We went home and flew back up to Atlanta for TV. We were down in Peachtree on center stage. Rick came in and pulled everybody in the locker room together and goes, I just want to apologize to you, to the Nasty Boys. I guess he took a Learjet home or something like that. And when he got off the plane, I guess it was Reese, the first thing he said, his boy came running up to him when he got off the plane and goes, that was the greatest match. And goes, well, he was ready to say, well, thank you. And he goes, that Nasty Boys match, I couldn't believe it. Oh my God. And then it sort of something sunk in. And Rick said, holy, you know, maybe this is what, you know, this might be something with the future here, you know. But as far as, you know, breaking new ground, we definitely did that, you know, but not in a sloppy, ECW, like bring everything but the kitchen sink to the ring way. You know what I mean? I don't like that style either. You know what I mean? If during your match you go out and someone ends up getting put through a table or, you know, through and through, but to come down to the ring with a dumpster full of broom handles and sledgehammers and whips and, you know, that ain't me at all, you know, or wasn't our style, put it that way.
Definitely.
So.
Well, I don't want to keep you. I don't want to keep you too long. It's been, you know, it's getting late. But I think we were doing a lot of research for this, and we uncovered one fact that kind of surprised us. Mad Mike, I think you were on this one. You got a question for him?
Yeah. Well, I'd noticed that you're the uncle of Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
And I was just wondering if, you know, given his current persona, if he has ever called you and given you any tips to be dashing.
What's that? I couldn't know, you're breaking up.
He was asking if giving Cody Rhodes current persona on WWE, if he's ever given you a call and given any tips to be dashing.
You know, no. You know what? When I was in the mainstream, Cody was younger. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He was a hell of an amateur wrestler. Mm-hmm. And I haven't even seen him. We watch him on TV because I keep an eye on what he's doing and stuff like that. But I haven't actually watched what he's done lately. Mm-hmm. You know, and I don't communicate with him that much. You know, at family functions and stuff like that. Because, you know, when you're not working together, you're like in another world. You know, yeah. If I was there, you know, we'd be family or running up and down the roads together, but I rarely see him. I really do. Because he does, because of the road schedule, and, you know, he's young and going crazy right now, you know. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah, but hey, take advantage of what we get me on the thing here. Shoot away while you got me.
All right. Anybody else on our panel have any questions for Jerry before we let him go?
Well, I was just curious. Over your career, I know you guys have been able to work with like almost every huge name in tag team wrestling, from LOD to the Horsemen to Dudleys, anything like that. Was there any team that you always wanted to work with that you never got a chance to, like the Hardy Boys or the British Bulldogs or anything like that?
Yeah, when we did a short thing there when we were thinking about coming back to WWE in maybe 2006 or something like that. And I actually talked to, because they were still doing some tag matches and stuff, but because there's so much like great workers like Sean and Marty were, I really would have liked to get work with the Hardys, you know. And now Jeff was with us and down there in TNA while we were there, and we had a fun time with him, but we didn't do nothing because the brother was up at WWE, you know. But actually, when I did see him at a SmackDown and said, I'd love to, you know, him and his brother, I said, I always would love to work with you guys, so keep that in your mind if that would ever come up. And another one was, I thought that me and us and the Dudleys could draw some money. And I was asked this question back in the end of summer in August. We were in Vancouver doing one of the Hulk Hogan and Friends things, and it was a Canadian crowd up there, and a lot of questions came about the Hearts, you know. And I talked to Brett, you know, every once in a while, and brought up the Hart Dynasty, and that's knowing that, you know, from wrestling, I wrestled with Anvil and Davey Boy and Owen and Brett, and over and over and over, you know, in different ways. You know, of course, winning the belts off the Hart Foundation was one of the greatest things ever achieved in my life. But at WrestleMania 7, but I would really like to, if I ever had the chance to wrestle the Harry, because I know Harry and with Nadia and all them. I forgot the little guy's name. He's from Calgary too. The Hart Dynasty guys, you know.
Yeah, Tyson.
Yeah,
Kidd.
Tyson
But
Kidd.
That's it.
I knew Nadia and Natty and Harry since they were kids, back in the early 90s when we were all on the road together. Anvil would bring his 3 daughters over to my house all the time, and Davey would bring Harry and his daughter Georgia, you know what I mean, over to the house. They spent a lot of time with us because they had moved from Calgary to Florida, where we were living at the time, and you know, they were just, you know, kids, and that would be I think an awesome thing for me to do, more than even, you know, getting to wrestle the Hardys or the Dudleys or whatever, because of the nostalgia involved there and the family tradition, you know, that we wrestled Owen when he was with Coco. They were a little team. And then the new foundation was Owen and Jim the Anvil, and we go way back with Jim, you know, and we wrestled them. And then we did a lot of wrestling even against when Animal was hurt. Davey Boy and Hawk teamed up, and Davey Boy and Sting teamed up, and we wrestled them a ton of times in WCW through pay-per-views and all that kind of stuff, you know. Spent a lot of time with Davey Boy on the road, tons. And one of the greatest things we ever did was, you know, got to wrestle the British Bulldogs, Davey and Dynamite, when we first really got to know them, and that was in Japan in like 1988. We went over there for tag team tournament and wrestled them most of the time. And also on that tour wrestled like Abdullah the Butcher and Tiger Jet Singh, Stan Hansen and Terry Gordy, 2 classics there that was unbelievable. That was a fight for your life, you know. And that there in itself is like you know, a milestone. And then when we went back to Japan in the 90s, then we did a lot of wrestling when they did with Kinski and Hawk in Japan. Animal was out hurt again then, and or that might have been around the same time, but Animal was out, and Kinski and Hawk wrestled as like a Japanese Legion of Doom, and you know, wrestled them a lot. Wrestled Hercules and Scott Norton a lot over there as a tag team. You know what I mean? And you know, of course, I still not only one of the greatest matches with us and was with the Hart Foundation. That's when we were already in WWE, but one of our biggest breakthrough matches, I think that top it all was when we shot our angle in the pavilion in Chicago with the Steiners, and then returned for that our first Halloween Havoc against them. Just took us up to a whole nother level, the way that match got over, you know. And that was huge, the Steiners. I just saw those guys again. We were on the road together in Memphis and Arkansas, and spent some time with them, and where Terry Funk was the guest referee and that type of stuff. You know. So I mean, you know, like you said about talking about stories and stuff, but I mean, and fun times. I mean, when I think back of the people, you know, in greatness alone of and respect from, you know, up and comers to old timers that we had the chance in our career to brush shoulders with, is, to me, I just think about I can't remember half the stuff I did because it was so much fun and so many things, but I know we did a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of fun stuff, and really got to meet some incredible people. You know, and a lot of my buddies, I mean, a whole lot of my buddies ain't even here no more. But a lot of their kids are, and that's why I try to help them as much as I can, but their dads are gone, you know. But I was pretty good friends with them.
Now you mentioned,
so that's...
You mentioned your long career. I recently, in the past few months, saw a shoot interview with you guys where I learned a lot of things I didn't know about your career. Are we looking? Wouldn't there be a nasty book, in the future with you guys?
You know what I'd like to, what I really at this point in my life would like to achieve now. I'd like to do a Nasty Boys Greatest Hit DVD.
Yeah.
And with all of our street fights and all these teams we wrestle and stuff, like if you go on our website, there's watch this match, you know, the nastyboys.net. You can do some of it, but I'd like to really go through time from Sean and Marty to all the way through all the teams. I mean, from, you know, I can't even mention them all. There's so, you know, like I said, from the first Raw, I think we did with Sammy and Junior, the Islanders, you know what I mean? And then Barbarian and Ming, and the Natural Disasters, Typhoon and Earthquake, and teams like some of them like that. I forgot I even wrestled, you know, you know what I mean? Because they're, you know, the big attention ones were like the Steiners and the LOD and the Bulldogs and that kind of stuff, the Rockers, and you know, but you forget a lot of these because there were so many teams, and that was one of your first questions about the tag team situation. I'm not saying it a negative way about the guys that are tag teams now.
Yeah.
I'm saying that I think there isn't that much emphasis put on it anymore. When there was I think a tag team calendar or something, but when we were there in the early days, in the, you know, say 90, 91 in WWF at the time, tag teams were so important, and there was it was us, the LOD, the Hart Foundation, Owen and Coco, the Rougeaus, Tanaka and Pat, Tanaka and Diamond, what were they called then? They were Bad Company and AWA and all that in Tennessee. I forgot what they were called when they were like an Oriental Express.
The Oriental Express, yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's just a ton of teams, and there was Roma and Hercules and on, you know.
Yeah.
The Demolition was still there.
Yeah.
You know,
and Money Inc. You guys had a big run with Money Inc.
Yeah, Money.
Yeah, and we wrestled. Yeah, Mike Rotundo and Ted. You know, that was pretty cool. Really, really good thing. You know, we had a really good match to get. We went around with them a lot. You know.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know if it's guys coming up say, you know, we just don't want to do that. But, you know, there's teams that are just put together like, okay, you and him are going to go together and you're going to be a team. But I'm talking about the teams like like Dynamite and Davey, or you know, Hawk and Animal, or me and Knobs, or the Steiners, that from day one were a tag team, and that's what they wanted to be, and wrestled as an expertise in tag team wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more like today is like, well, you're going to be the tag champion. It's going to be, well, we'll just put Big Show with this guy, and that's the team. To me, that it really isn't. It's a tag team, and they might have the titles, but it isn't true tag team wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And another
you know?
problem there seems to be is there's an inevitable breakup with these tag teams. Like, we're kind of seeing now. It looks like they're teasing the Hart Dynasty might break up, which really it feels like they're just going to get lost in the fold even more.
I don't, you know, I haven't watched so long.
Yeah.
I hope that don't happen. I mean,
same here.
It's a great thing. I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't know what's going on because I haven't watched it in so long, but instead of getting a rating or whatever they're doing with it is to break them up, they should just think of more creative ways to build them. You know what I mean? I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
And going back to when you were asking about comparing like TNA to WCW or WWE, as my experiences goes, don't take that out of in the wrong way either. You know what I mean? Because it's so important right now that they even exist, as far as there being a number 2 company in the country alone. You know what I mean? But I can't compare my experience there in any way from I don't know how many years in WCW and 3 or 4 years in WWE. There's just no comparison there for me. That's personally. I'm not saying it as a company that it's this or that or whatever, but you know, as far as that's concerned, it's very important in the wrestling business that it exists alone. You know what I mean? That there is a number 2 company, you know, and that's what they are, and which is important right now. You know, I just want to get that clear to you. You know,
you must be psychic, because I think you pretty much answered Hot Wheels in the chat room's question you just put in on your thoughts.
What does it say?
He actually just asked what were your thoughts of the state of wrestling today as a whole, but I think you mostly just answered it, I think.
Well, that's a tough. It's not that it's a tough question. It just goes. There's so many aspects that have changed that then the business is so different. One huge thing though, I'll say again, is there, and you can actually thank the Dixie Carter for that, because if she doesn't invest in, you know, Jeff and Jerry's company, the TNA thing, because it takes a lot of money, because we were trying to do it at the same time with the XWF, and to have someone, you know, say, I'm going to, you know, spend, I don't know, whatever, $15 to $30 million to make this work is huge. So huge that, you know, everybody making money today in the business should kiss the woman's feet for giving that dedication and that authorizing, you know, to go ahead and invest so much money in the wrestling business. You know what I mean? That to make a second company, because for that second company to be there at this point in time is so important. You wouldn't even imagine how important it is to have that. You know, with the way the economy is now, and the entertainment dollar is always the first to go in a bad economy. You know what I mean? When, you know, a family has to pay bills or get groceries, that comes first before, you know, a night out to a concert or to a football game. And I see the football, everything, you know, it's a tough environment now to make money in with the economy the way it is. And then alone, I actually pity the guys, because when we were on the road, there was that you know, 9/11. It was pretty easy scooting in and out of airports and that type of stuff. And now when I'm going the road, and I mean, I'm thank God I'm not on the road 300 days a year anymore. It's like torture. My God, we talk about all the time going, I pity these guys, these young guys that have to get to the airport an hour and a half early to get through these lines, or you're going to miss your flight and never get to a town. I don't know how they do it. You know, I really don't.
Yeah.
Tough times right now. You know what I mean? And in alone, when I would say all the 80s and the 90s, the talent supported the brand. And the way I see it now is that the brand supports the talent. And that's not the talent's fault or anyone's fault. It's that the talent pool had just been overly tapped and drained to where it's few or none, you know what I mean? To where you have to create your own. And that's what's being done as far as, you know, what Steve Kern's doing over there with Florida Championship Wrestling with Dusty, and, you know, because there are no places like that for guys to learn, like what I was talking about, going from Minnesota to Nashville to Charlotte to Florida. You know, that's where we learned, to Japan, whatever. That's how you learned years ago, from going and just getting yourself booked and wrestling from territory to territory, and you honed your skill, you know. And another aspect, along with economy, airports, everything else, there's nowhere like that for guys to go, young guys to go and, you know, hone their skills for a few years. And then when they get their shot, they're totally ready when they're called up or say, hey, we need you here, and you know you're ready to go. Nowadays, which I pity them again, is whatever method you can get trained and whatever way you can get your own experience. If you're lucky enough to get with a thing like the Florida Championship Wrestling or something like that, where you have shows to go to and stuff like that, and you practice, even then, a year of that isn't a training to, you know, 4 or 5 years what we did, or generation before me did, before they would get that national exposure, that shot. And then you're called up, and then it's a hit and miss, and it's almost like a hot shot. You know, it's almost unfair to the guys, because, you know, would you say no? They say, oh, you're coming up here now. Either, you know, that's it. That's your career in a nutshell. Either you get on your time on that TV and get yourself over, or, you know, you're booed off the screen. You know, and you might never get another chance in your life, you know, because there are no other places to go and do that, you know.
Yeah.
That's sort of a shame to me. And, you know, but that in a nutshell sums up what's going on, you know, what the business has come to, you know. And it's nobody's fault. It's just in the 80s and 90s, there was vast talent pools for WCW or the WWE and the Japan offices to pull off of, and you could migrate around and always come back for another run and do whatever. And now you got guys that have been there not only because there's nowhere else to go, but because they have nobody to replace their spot. So the writers have written for these guys for years and more stuff and over again. And then you have young guys who, if you're rolling the dice right and it hits right, you've been just trained just enough that you will catch and get a niche where you can get a break and stay on. If not, you're, you know, it's a see you later thing. So that's what you have, and that's what I think ends up with in the state that the business is in now, which is nobody's fault. But when they knew it was going to happen, but when back in the day when WWE went nationwide, and through the next 25 years, little territory after territory dropped off because that big TV, they couldn't compete with that big TV, and they fell by the wayside. well, by them falling by the wayside, so did the training territories where guys that came from, say, Louisiana back in the day, like the Junkyard Dog and Jake the Snake and Hacksaw Duggan, and then you go to Portland where you have Roddy Piper and Buddy Rose and Billy Jack, and Minnesota where you had, you know, Hulk Hogan and Mean Gene Okerlund and Bobby Heenan and Sergeant Slaughter and on, you know, to down to Florida where you had Dusty and all these, you know, guys come out of. And then, you know, in the heyday, you could just pick and choose, bring him up out of there, and you had high quality honed talent. And that's what I mean by the talent supported the brand, because they were so ready and skilled at the time when they were brought up there. In the early days, the talent carried the brand. Now, the brand stamp makes the talent, because that's their cue, is when that's what makes them, is that not that you're a great wrestler, not that this is just that you are part of this company. That's what makes you, puts a stamp on you now. That's the state of the business, where I see it right now. And, you know, hopefully another surge will come. You know, I hope right now somebody's got to be looking for that next big name. You know, the Stone Cold, The Rock, the John Cena. There's got to be somebody out there coming up from somewhere, I'm hoping. You know, yeah,
we definitely,
what do you guys think?
We definitely do a lot of looking to the independents, trying to find those groups that people don't know about and help spread the word on them. And there's a lot of interesting stuff out there, and we really hope that we really look to companies, say, could they, you know, make it to TV and maybe be a competition like TNA rose up. So I think you're completely right on a lot of that, definitely. So, well, Jerry, thanks a lot. This has been a great talk. It's been great hearing your opinion on how things are today and in the past. And I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with us tonight.
Oh, thanks, guys. It sounds like you got a pretty cool show.
Yeah.
Sorry to, you know, like I said, the way it goes is our webmaster calls. You want to do a radio interview tonight, and then forwards and numbers. I don't know what happened to Noms or where he is. He might be at Graceland again, for all I know.
We're a grassroots. Hey, we're a grassroots podcast. We're used to technical difficulties. It's nothing new to us. We've been doing this long enough. Hopefully in the future we can connect again and we'll get both of you guys on here and have a good conversation with both of you at the same time again.
Cool.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jerry Sags from the Nastycized.
All right, you guys be good and take care, man.
All right, you too, man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Jerry.
All right, bye. See you guys.
If you want to check out what's going on with them, go to thenastyboys.net for all the latest, and if you want to contact them for anything. We're going to hit the break and be right back.
You're watching the Wrestling Mayhem Show.
This is awesome.
Online at WrestlingMayhemShow.com.